Just drop the ego right away. Lose it. It's not worth it. It took me 14 years, which could have been a very quick lesson if I would have just dropped my ego. One of my big goals is to make this content thing and YouTube and social media into a career. I've wanted it for so long, and I'm starting to think that the only way I can do that is if I let go of a lot of the baggage and the stuff I've been holding on to. And I figured the best way for me to do that is to just tell the world, put it out there, get it on YouTube, and maybe it might help some of you guys along the way. So this one's going to come with a little bit of a story. Buckle up, grab a snack, and let's jump into this thing. Let me start off by just saying success isn't linear. It never is. And the sooner you accept that, the more you'll start to appreciate the journey. I learned that the hard way. I remember the first time I picked up a camera. It was one of those moments that I think most creatives experience, a sense of knowing. Everything just clicked. I felt like I had found something special, something that I was meant to do. From that moment on, I couldn't see myself doing anything else. But here's the thing, where I am today isn't what I imagined back then. I had this dream of being a world-renowned photographer, of living off my art, never working a day in my life. The reality is that I've been working harder than I ever imagined, and the journey to get here has been nothing like I pictured. Growing up in a small town, it didn't take long before I started getting really good with the camera. I was winning local competitions, getting recognition from people who didn't really understand photography, but their validation felt good. And when you're the only one in your circle doing something unique, it's easy to start believing your own hype. I thought I was the best, and in a town where I was the only one really putting in the work, that wasn't hard to believe. But I didn't understand what it truly meant to work hard. I mistook praise for progress and talent for effort. Back then, I thought the world owed me something because I was good at what I did. I didn't see the hours, the failures, the resilience that success demands. All I saw was the surface, the success stories, the people who seemed to make it overnight. I was convinced I could bypass the grind that everyone else had to go through. I carried this mindset with me to college, and in hindsight, that's where things began to unravel. I still had this notion that everything would just fall into place because I was talented. My ego was so inflated that I believed I could skip the traditional photographer's journey. The one where you hone your skills, take up odd jobs, second shoot at weddings, maybe start with portraits to build your reputation. But not me. No, I was too good for that. I didn't think I needed to struggle or do anything outside of my comfort zone. In my mind, I was destined to become the next Ansel Adams. I romanticized the idea of being an artist, not realizing that even the greatest artists had the grind. The hours behind the scenes, the failures they experienced, it never crossed my mind. My arrogance made me believe I could avoid it. Eventually, college felt pointless. I wasn't learning anything I thought would help me, and I was itching to bet on myself, to make that leap into the world and just make it. So I dropped out. In my mind, it wasn't a failure. It was a shortcut to the success I thought I deserved. But what I didn't realize was that by skipping steps, I was missing out on the experiences that shape you, the challenges that build your character, the obstacles that teach you grit and perseverance. Here I was, a college dropout with no real plan, but a belief that things would work out for me simply because I was talented. I wasn't prepared for the reality that hit me. No one wanted to pay me to do anything. Not for photos, not for video, not for anything. I thought I was ready to build a career, but the truth was I wasn't. My confidence started to crack, and with every rejection, the cracks grew wider. In an attempt to find my footing, I shifted to video work, hoping that would open new doors. I started a few businesses along the way. Each one had potential, but none of them lasted. Why? Because I didn't have what it took to see them through. I had ideas, but I lacked the patience, the endurance, and the humility to build something from the ground up. Over time, that once sky-high ego I carried started to crumble. It didn't happen overnight, but slowly doubt began to creep in. What I had once seen as my destiny now seemed like an impossibility. That feeling that maybe everything wouldn't work out for me after all was paralyzing. It was like watching a dream slip through my fingers, and for the first time, I wasn't sure I could catch it. The worst part is with social media today, you're constantly exposed with really talented people. It was even a point where I really started to question my talent, because where I thought I was the best, I started really realizing that I wasn't. And on top of that, I wasn't working hard enough to compensate for it. I eventually hit a breaking point. I finally understood something that had taken me years to grasp. Talent meant absolutely nothing if you didn't put in the work behind it. But even with finally knowing that, it didn't immediately change things for me. It took years of frustration, years of feeling stuck, years of questioning whether I had made a huge mistake betting on myself. The turning point came when I got so fed up with myself, with my inaction, that I started saying yes to everything. Every opportunity, every small job that came my way, I didn't care if it was outside my comfort zone. I was done letting my ego stand in my way of growth. One of those opportunities led me to get a great job with a company that allowed me to develop real business skills. For the first time, I wasn't just relying on my talent. I was building something tangible. I was laying the groundwork for a genuine career in this field, something that had substance beyond the image I had in my head when I was younger. It took me 14 years to drop my ego and start doing the work. Now, am I exactly where I want to be? No, not even close. But for the first time in my life, I finally feel like I'm on the right path. I know that where I'm going isn't a straight line, and that's okay. The important thing is that I'm moving forward. This video is a part of that process, part of me being honest with myself and with others. I'm not here to present a perfect story or to hide things that I'm ashamed of. Success is messy. It's full of mistakes, missed opportunities. It's full of moments that break you down and force you to rebuild yourself. I've learned that the journey isn't about skipping steps or rushing to the finish line. It's about taking every single experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and using it to fuel your growth. If I can share that lesson, maybe I can help someone else avoid the same pitfalls that I did, because success is not linear. It never is, but that's what makes it worth it. Now, I was a little bit hesitant when it came to making this video, partially because, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed by that journey that I put myself through, because I think when I say that I've been doing this for 14 years, a lot of people ask the question, like, why aren't you further, And that's a question that terrifies me, because it's in the back of my mind every single day. Like, why am I not further? Am I not good enough? Am I not working hard enough? And I think that's like death by a million cuts. That self-doubt is terrible, and it's not a good thing to put yourself through. So I felt like the best thing I could do was just put it out there and be honest and get it out there, and hopefully it will provide some value to someone else. And for me, I think this will provide me the ability to move on and not let my past define me. Start off better, start off on a better foot. So before I sign off, I'll leave you with one last thing. Pay attention to the people who you surround yourself with. It's very easy to feel like you're working hard when you're surrounded by people that aren't. You want people to challenge you. You want people to push you. It's healthy and it's extremely necessary. And finally, just drop the ego right away. Lose it. It's not worth it. It took me 14 years, which could have been a very quick lesson if I would have just dropped my ego. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it at all, if you have any comments or suggestions or questions, leave them in the comments below. Let's start a conversation about this. If any of you are going through the same thing that I went through, consider subscribing, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.